said when Prophet Musa alayhi salam, who is the Prophet of Islam at his time, and whoever is his followers and believe in him are the Muslims of their era. The Islam at that time was La ilaha illallah, Musa Rasulullah. He was the Prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to mankind. So, when Musa alayhi salam wanted to take Bani Israel, the Muslims, from Egypt and move them to Palestine, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told him to do so, every time they try to travel, they would lose their way and come back to where they were. They kept getting lost. So Prophet Musa alayhi salam asked the scholars and the elderly people of Bani Israel, what is going on? Why do we keep getting lost? And the scholars of Bani Israel told him, we made a promise and an oath to Yusuf alayhi salam, the prophet that originally brought Bani Israel from their homelands, from the Bedouins to Egypt. He said when he was dying, if you guys ever end up leaving Egypt and going back to Palestine, I want you to dig up my grave and take my body with you guys and rebury me there in the blessed lands. And as the Prophet ﷺ taught us, prophets, when they die, it does not decay, nothing happens to it. If we were to dig up any prophet, even Adam today, he would look as fresh as you look right now. And his body would be as moist as we are right now. The only thing that's haram, we cannot do it. You can't touch their body, it's sacred, you can't touch it. You can't dig up any Muslim's grave. So they wanted to, the Prophet Musa told him, let's go fulfill the oath. That's why Allah keeps making us go in circles. Let's go get the body of Yusuf alayhi salam and take it with us. Who knows where his body is buried? And the people, the elderly people, they told him, nobody among the children of Israel knows where the body of Yusuf is except one old lady. She's so old that she's about to die. She's very old. And Musa alayhi salam said, bring me this lady. So she was brought to Musa alayhi salam, and Prophet Musa alayhi salam requested from her and told her, please tell us where the body of Yusuf is so we can move from this place and go to where Allah told us to go to. And she said, Ya Musa, Ya Rasulullah, O Prophet of Allah Musa, I will not tell you where Yusuf's body is until you fulfill my condition. I have a wish and I have a request. If you fulfill that request for me, then I will tell you where the body is. And Musa alayhi salam told her, what is your request? What do you want? So we can do it for you. This lady said, I want to be your companion in paradise. Wherever you go, whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grants you of paradise, I want to get the same thing. Musa alayhi salam is not an ordinary prophet. Out of all of the prophets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he is the only prophet that Allah used to speak to him directly. وَكَلَّمَ اللَّهُ مُوسَى تَكْلِيمًا. Every other prophet, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted to talk to them, he would send Jibreel, and Jibreel would convey the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to that prophet. But the only prophet that would speak directly to Allah, and Allah would answer him directly back to him, and hear Allah's voice, is Musa alayhi salam. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him of ulul azm min ar-rusul, the type 5 of all of the messengers and prophets that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent. Nuh, Ibrahim, Musa, Isa, and Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, wa alayhim salawatullahi wa salam. Those are the top 5. Among them is Kalimullah, Musa alayhi salam. And we know the tremendous story that Musa alayhi salam has, and how much Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about Musa alayhi salam in the Quran. To get the same place of paradise as Musa alayhi salam, the Prophet of Allah, is not something ordinary. And this lady wants to get it over something of information that she knew. She's too old to go to battle. She's too old to do anything. She's waiting for death. Islam just started for her. The Prophet was just sent. She won't even live long to continue and do great deeds. But out of something, information that she had, the Prophet asked her for something, and she said, I have a condition. I want to go to the same place of paradise that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed the Prophet with. And then Musa disliked this. He didn't like it. And he was surprised. How could you request such a thing? And he stayed quiet. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa alayhi salam, give her her wish. Tell her, O Musa, you will go to the same place as me in paradise. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told me that He has granted you your wish. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted, He could have said, forget her, man. I'll tell you what it is. Allah already tells him everything. He could have told her, no, there's too much. She's asking for too much. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted good for that lady. And she was a very, very smart lady. Probably she never was going to have a chance to have one-on-one conversation with Musa alayhi salam before that or after that. An opportunity came by and she seized it. She took advantage of it. And then she said, when the Prophet told her, Musa alayhi salam told her, you will get whatever I get in paradise, you will be my rafiq in Jannah. Jannah to Firdaus. Just because of that one request. Then he told her to tell us where it is. She took them to a place where there's a body of water, rain piled up on it. She said, take out this water. They took it out. They said, dig up this spot. And they digged it up and they took out the body of Yusuf alayhi salam and they took it with them to Palestine. The Prophet ﷺ is telling his companions, when I give you a chance, when you have something, you can ask me for anything. Why would one of you go and ask for a donkey and some goats? Do you not know something better, something higher ambition? The Prophet did not want them to lurk around this worldly life. If you were given that chance right now, in front of Rasulullah, what would you wish for? What would you want? On the contrary, I'll tell you another man that got the same opportunity. His name is Rabi'ah ibn Ka'ab al-Aslami. Sheikh, prepare for me some money. I'm going to do name and ask names later on. Whoever wins gets the rewards, okay? I'll pay you back later. His name is Rabi'ah ibn Ka'ab al-Aslami. Rabi'ah radiyallahu anhu was a young companion that used to be the Ahl Sufa. The Ahl Sufa were a group of companions that used to live in the masjid of Rasulullah. They had a corner in the back of the masjid where they would sleep in there, and that was their dorm. They were students that dedicated their life to learn the religion from Rasulullah. They didn't go to work. They didn't do anything except when the Prophet wanted them to do an errand, they would do it. When he wanted them to go to battle, they would go to battle, and they would learn the Quran, memorize the Quran, and learn the religion from the Prophet. They were fuqaha al-Sahaba. And they're most knowledgeable of them, because they dedicated their whole life to learning. And Rabi'ah was one of them. And Rabi'ah radiallahu anhu had an extra character where he used to serve Rasulullah throughout the whole day. He would be with him from morning to night, from Salatul Fajr to Salatul Asha. And what if he needs wudu, he would get it for him. If he told him to get such and such person, he would get it for them. If he told him, tell that message to so he would do it. Whatever the Prophet wanted, he would serve him the whole day. And when the Prophet wanted to go home at night, he would go with him, and he would take him all the way to his doorsteps, and then the Prophet would go into his house, and Rabi'ah wouldn't even go. He would sit in front of the house and wait, just in case Rasulullah comes out and says, I need to get wudu, I need to go to the bathroom. Because before, back then, they didn't have toilets in the house. He would go out to the outskirts, so we could accompany him. If he forgets something, anything, he would sit in front of the door, and he said, I would wait. To the point that I would hear Rasulullah doing his adhkar and ibadah in the house, and I would just listen to it. And sometimes he said, it takes us such a long time, and I'm tired from all day long, I would fall asleep on his doorsteps. And I wouldn't wake up until Rasulullah would come to Fajr, and he would see me laying in front of his door and say, is it Rabi'ah? And then he would wake me up for Salatul Fajr, and they would go together. And the day restarts again. And sometimes when I see that Rasulullah has fully slept and he's not going to come back out, I'll go to my house. That was the daily life of Rabi'ah ibn Ka'ab al-Aslami. Rabi'ah radiallahu anhu continued doing that for a period of time. And the Prophet ﷺ noticed this from him, and how clinging and how dedicated he is to pleasing Rasulullah and serving him. One day, the Prophet ﷺ called Rabi'ah, and he told Rabi'ah, Oh Rabi'ah, ask me for what you need. What can I do for you? And Rabi'ah radiallahu anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, I want you to give me time to ponder over this. I don't want to throw out anything. I don't want to gamble with this. Give me some time and I will think over it and I'll come back to you and tell you what I want. And the Prophet ﷺ said, okay. So he said, I stayed away from ﷺ for 3 days. And I was thinking for 3 days. Until I finally came to the conclusion that I will not ask Rasulullah ﷺ for something of this worldly life. And I will take this opportunity to ask him for something for the hereafter, for my hereafter. And Rabi'ah radiallahu anhu came back to Rasulullah on the 3rd day, and the Prophet ﷺ said, okay Rabi'ah, have you reached a conclusion? Do you know what you want? And Rabi'ah said, yes, Ya Rasulullah. The Prophet ﷺ said, what do you need, Rabi'ah? What can I do for you? Rabi'ah said, Ya Rasulullah, أريد مرافقتك في الجنة. Oh Rasulullah, I want to be your Rafiq in Jannah. I want to go from Jannah wherever you go to. I want to get in Jannah the same reward that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam will get. The most beloved of Allah's creation. The highest point you can get to. And when he said that, the Prophet ﷺ was astonished and amazed. And the Prophet ﷺ asked him, أَوَ غَيْرَ ذَلِكَ يَا رَبِيعَةَ? Maybe you want something else, O Rabi'ah. Do you want to reconsider? Maybe you wanted something else. Then he said, هُوَ ذَاكَ يَا رَسُولُ اللَّهِ. He said, Oh Rasulullah, that's my only wish. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ أَمَرَكَ بِهَذَا? Who told you to ask me this? Then he said, Ya Rasulullah, Wallahi, nobody told me to do this. But I sat with myself and I thought to myself, whatever I was going to get of rizq and substance in this world has already been written. And no matter what, I will get it. However much rice I was going to eat, however much pasta I was going to have, however much juice I was going to drink, has already been written. It's not going to miss me, and the pen has been lifted and the ink has dried. There is no way that I will leave from this world not getting whatever sustenance I was going to get in this world. Allah already wrote it, and it's already decreed. The only thing that's not guaranteed is, will I have enough good deeds to go into paradise and save myself from hellfire? So that's when I said, I'm going to go to Rasulullah ﷺ, I'm going to ask him for shafa'ah and intercession for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save me from hellfire and put me into paradise. And knowing you, Ya Rasulullah, and your position in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how much you mean to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I knew nobody else can get me this except you. So I decided to make my one-time chance that I have with you to ask for something that I cannot guarantee for myself. I want to be your companion in paradise. So the Prophet ﷺ stayed quiet and he looked down. And he stayed that way for a good minute. Until Rabi'ah said, I wished I never asked that question. He thought to himself, I bother Rasulullah. He doesn't like what I asked for. It's too much. And now he's mad at me. And he said, I wish, to the point that I wished I never asked that question. Maybe I should have done something else. Then Rasulullah looked up. Allah, Jibreel said he was told something. And then Rasulullah said, I will do it for you, O Rabi'ah. I will ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make you my rafiq in paradise. فَأَعِنِّي عَلَى نَفْسِكَ بِكَثْرَةِ السُّجُودِ. So aid me in seeking intercession for you by doing a lot of sujood. By praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because the salah is the best act you can get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with. And the Prophet specifically did not say بِكَثْرَةِ الصَّلَاةِ, he said بِكَثْرَةِ السُّجُود. Make a lot of sujoods. And obviously you can't do sujood without praying salah, صح? You do a lot of sujoods in salah. Why did Rasulullah specify sujood? Because in other hadith the Prophet taught us أقرب ما يكون العبد من ربه وهو ساجد. The closest a slave is to his Lord is when he's in prostration in front of him. That's as close as you can ever get to Allah. So ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala whatever you want in your sujood. So he told him, help me in helping you by doing a lot of sujood. Rabi'a radiallahu anhu just walked away with the best thing a human being can ever achieve in this world. Because we will all die. And whatever we have will be inherited by others and will be taken. You worked hard for it. You bought that house. You went up and down to get whatever you got in this world. And somebody, an uncle, a cousin, a brother that knew nothing about you, that didn't care for you, will come the day you die and he will inherit you. It came to you with blood and sweat, and it will come to him while he's chilling on his bed, doing nothing. Because inheritance, so many people, they do even haram to gain wealth in this world. And then somebody inherits it halal. Because the person who earned it in haram, Allah will hold him accountable for it. But whatever you inherit, it's not your job. You don't know what they did. Allah wrote down that you can inherit it. You take it. It's halal for you. You might even go to Jannah with it by donating it, building masjids, doing khair with it. And they go to nar for it because they earned it through haram means. So Rabi'a just walked away with the only thing none of us can ever imagine. We wish to go to Jannah, but who dares to dream to be the companion of Rasulullah in paradise? And Rabi'a walked away happy. Now let me tell you the amazing part of the story. Rabi'a's story did not end there. After some time, the Prophet ﷺ called Rabi'a again. And he said, "Oh Rabi'a, why don't you get married? He's a young man, he's a student of knowledge, he has nothing, he doesn't even have a house, he lives in the masjid, he doesn't have a job, he has nothing." The Prophet ﷺ starting from getting married. You have to save up a lot of money to get married. So Rabi'a said, "Ya Rasulullah, I have nothing. And I don't work. And in order to get married, I have to go get a job and save up. And that's going to occupy me. And I do not want anything to occupy me from serving you. I want to serve you and take care of you and do whatever errands you need. I want to run it throughout the whole day. I don't want a wife, I don't want children, I don't want anybody to occupy me from serving you." So Rasulullah stayed quiet and he left him. On another day, Rasulullah saw Rabi'a. So he told Rabi'a, "Ya Rabi'a, ala tatazawwaj." Oh Rabi'a, why don't you get married? Why are you not getting married? And Rabi'a said the same answer. "Ya Rasulullah, I have nothing to get married with. I don't have the means to get married. And if I wanted to, I have to go work and do other things that get occupied, and I do not want to be occupied from serving you all day." Then the Prophet ﷺ stayed quiet and he left him. Then on another day, the third day, the Prophet ﷺ was going to come to him. But before he came to him, Rabi'a sat with himself and he thought again. He was a smart young man. He said, "Oh Rabi'a, are you crazy? Are you dumb? What's wrong with you? Rasulullah ﷺ knows your situation. He obviously sees you. He knows you don't have anything. But he wants something good for you. And this is Rasulullah. He knows what he's doing. Trust his plan. And if he asks you again, say, okay." He said, "I said to myself, Wallahi, if Rasulullah asks me a third time, why don't you get married? I will say, I'm ready to get married, Ya Rasulullah." So before Rasulullah came to him, he took this decision. And the Prophet alhamdulillah, he came back the third time. He didn't say twice is enough. Screw him, I'm done. Understand? Rasulullah came back to him a third time and he said, "Ya Rabi'a, ala tatazawwaj." Oh Rabi'a, why don't you get married? Then Rabi'a said, "Na'am ya Rasulullah." "Okay, Ya Rasulullah, I'm ready." Then the Prophet ﷺ told him, "I want you to go to such family of Ansar." Ansar were the companions of Medina, the people that the Prophet ﷺ and the Muhajirin from Mecca, they migrated from Mecca and they lived in Medina. The people that are residents of Muslims that lived in Medina that welcomed the Prophet ﷺ, and those Muslims that migrated to them and protected them, those are called Ansar. So he told him, "Go to that family, Ansar family, and I want you to tell them the Prophet ﷺ has requested your daughter in marriage for me. Go to them and tell them, the Rasul ﷺ has sent me, and he wants you to marry off and give me your daughter in marriage to me. So I said, okay, Ya Rasulullah. And I went to the family. I knocked on their door, and they opened it, and I said, Rasulullah ﷺ has sent me, and he wants you to marry off your daughter, such and such, he named her, to me. The family said, Marhaban bi Rasuli Rasulillah. Welcome to the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And they welcomed me, and they hosted me, and they called the girl, and they told her what Rasulullah has said. And she said, I'm ready. These are called the Ansar. The Prophet said about the Ansar, حب الأنصار من الإيمان وبغضهم نفاق كفر ونفاق. Loving the Ansar is a sign of Iman, and disliking them is a sign of hypocrisy and disbelief. They were a people that laid down their life, their wealth, their family, everything in front of Rasulullah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that Iman has settled into the houses of Ansar. وَالَّذِينَ تَبَوَّأُوا الدَّارَ وَالْإِيمَانَ مِنْ قَبْلِهِمْ. And even when the Prophet went to battles, where if 50 Muhajirin died, 150 Ansar would die in that battle. The Prophet said that wherever Ansar goes is where Rasulullah goes. At the time where Ansar are coming, welcoming Rasulullah to their homeland, they were risking the lives of their children and their wives. He was the most wanted man of all of Arabia by all of the secret services and armies of the world. And they just said, come to our house. From that day, Ansar themselves became the most wanted. So these are the Ansar. Whatever Rasulullah wanted, they're a mile ahead of him. We are ready, Ya Rasulullah. His family, he said, they agreed. They brought the girl down. They told her what happened. She agreed. And on the spot, they wedded me to the girl. They did my nikah right there. I just got married to a lady. And he said, I came back to Rasulullah. And Rasulullah said, what happened, Rabi'ah? And I told him, Ya Rasulullah, she's married to me. I have a wife. And the Prophet said, okay, now we have to pay them her. We have to give her dowry. He said, dowry, what's Ya Rasulullah? I have nothing. I don't have anything. Then he called one of the companions from Bani Aslam, his tribe. He said, come here, go to your tribe and collect for me some gold, so we can pay off the dowry of this young man. So this companion went and he collected some amount of gold, 3 grams, 4 grams. When girls get married today, they start off from 80 grams. And he has how many? 3, 4 grams. Then they brought this gold to the Prophet ﷺ, and he gave it to Rabi'ah, and he told Rabi'ah, go to the family and give them the gold. This is the dowry for this girl. Radiallahu anha. So he said, I took the gold, and it's a small amount of gold, and I took it to the family, and they were amazed. And they said, this is a lot. Are you sure? This is too much. You overdid it. And he said, I ate myself up a life. This family, when I came to them and asked for their daughter, they didn't even ask, how do we know the Prophet ﷺ sent you? What's your proof? Do you have a witness? He said, Wallah, they didn't even ask for a witness. And now I come to them with a small amount of money as a dowry, and they said it's too much. Then they welcomed me, and they were happy. Like, it's not like they're saying, okay, fine. But they're like rejoicing. He said, and because of that, my manhood was touched, and I felt sad. That these people are overdoing goodness to me, and I felt like I can't repay them. So that I came to Rasulullah and I was sad. And he said, Rabi'ah, what's wrong with you? Look at how Rasulullah is just kind and generous, and how much he knows about his companions and people around him. So Rabi'ah said, Ya Rasulullah, I'm being overburdened with goodness. This family did this for me. And now they're saying that wedding is, I gave a lot of dowry, and I know the situation, and they're just so generous. Prophet said, don't worry about that. He said, now that you pay the dowry, you have the wife, we have to do the walima. We have to do the haflat and give the food and feed everybody. And Rabi'ah said, Ya Rasulullah, feed everybody. I have nothing. I don't have any money, I don't have any saving, I have nothing. The Prophet said, he called the other companion, the same companion that brought the the gold. And he told Rabi'a, go to my wife Aisha radiallahu anha and get from her some dough to make bread with. She has some dough in her house, go get it. And he told the other companion, go to your tribe and get for us some animals that we can slaughter for the walima. So Rabi'a went and he went to Aisha and he said, Rasulullah sent me and he wants you to give me the dough that we have in the house so we can make chapati and whatever, the dough that we're going to eat with. And she went to a basket and she dumped out the whole dough that was in there and she gave to him. And the other Sahabi went and he got a couple of animals to slaughter for the walima, some goats. And it was brought together and the Prophet ﷺ said, Allah will bless it. And Rabi'a hosted all the companions for walima. And he feasted them and the party happened with Rasulullah ﷺ and the great companions of Bakr and Umar and everybody. Alhamdulillah. He's married, he gave his dowry, he did his wedding, but he has a family on his back and he doesn't have a job now. He has no means to support his family. And that's very heavy. To be married, it's easy to not have a job when you're single. But it's very heavy to have a wife and a house and you don't have anything. But the Prophet ﷺ did not leave him there. He called Rabi'a and he took him to a piece of land that Rasulullah ﷺ owned, and he said, this land is from now on yours. He gave him a farm. And then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the most generous of the companions, heard about this. And he came to him and he said, I will give you a land too. So Rabi'a said, Ja'at dunya. Said, the world has came in front of me. I went from a poor student of knowledge that lived in the dorm of the masjid to having an amazing wife, a house, a land. What is there that I'm missing? Rabi'a radiallahu anhu now is a land owner, is a farmer. We don't even have any farms. And I think if we collected all the money that we have, we can't buy a farm right now, how expensive it is. He owns 2 huge acres of land. And I want you, brothers and sisters, to compare the 2 scenarios of the Bedouin, who is a companion of Rasulullah, the host of Rasulullah, and Rasulullah wanted to thank him. And he had an opportunity to ask Rasulullah for whatever he wanted. And when he was granted this wish, he wished for a donkey and a goat. The Prophet gave him the chance the first time. He said, I'll just like something to ride, like a donkey or something. And he gave him a second chance, and he wished for a goat to milk for his children. The guy could have even said, make me a governor. Okay, give me a good chunk of wealth, give me a farm. Even the amount of worldly life that he asked for was petty. And Rabi'a radiallahu anhu got the same opportunity, and he asked for something that is unthinkable, that surprised Rasulullah himself. And he walked away with this world. He has a wife and a job and a land and everything. And he has the ultimate prize, which is to go to Jannah, the highest level of Jannah, with Rasulullah. And I want you to think, why did one person get the good of this world and the hereafter, and one person walked away with only nothing, something, a donkey that will die after a few months, and a goat that will die after a few months, that's it. Even though they had the same opportunity. The thing that was different was what drives a person, and what is in the mental state of the person. What is it that you yearn for? What is it that you look for? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created us. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought us to this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has tested us with desires and love for this world. كَلَّا بَلْ تُحِبُّونَ الْعَاجِلَةَ. Allah said, you guys prefer and love this worldly life. Hasten. Allah called it al-ajila. Ajala ya'jilu is to hasten. This world hastens to you. What does it mean, hasten? When you go to work at Best Buy, you work from Monday to Friday. What happens on Friday? What happens on Friday? You get a paycheck. It's payday. You work for the year, the end of the year, you get your tax return. So you know, if I go to work, I will get my paycheck. But as a Muslim, you do righteous deeds all throughout the day, and the reward and the payday is, the ultimate one is the hereafter. And that's why the Quraysh and the Kuffar, they said, Hayhata, hayhata lima tu'adun. It's so far what you guys are talking about. What this Prophet is talking about, the Day of Judgment and Jannah and now, it's too far. إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَهُ بَعِيدًا. They see the Day of Judgment and the hereafter and Jannah and now to be far. That is the problem, the lenses that you are looking at this life through. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا يَغْشَى وَالنَّهَارِ إِذَا تَجَلَّى وَمَا خَلَقَ الذَّكَرَ وَالْأُنثَى. Allah says, I swear by the night when it covers everything, and by the day when it makes everything clear. And I swear by the one who created the male and the female. Allah swearing on himself. I swear by the one who created the male and the female. إِنَّ سَعْيَكُمْ لَشَتَّى. What you guys endeavor and wherever you guys are going towards in your life, your endeavors in life are two ways. They have split. They have left apart. Just like the night and the day are as far apart as you can imagine. The night's not like the day, and the day is not like the night. Just like that, whatever the mankind does in this world is like that. They are as clear from each other as day and night. What is the difference? Allah said, among you guys is فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. As for the one that gives in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not mention the maf'ul. What do we give? Allah did not say. He didn't say فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى الْمَالَ فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى الزَّكَاةَ فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى الصَّدَقَةَ. He didn't say anything. He said, as for the one that gives, and he did not mention what we give. To encompass anything good that a believer gives in the wake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even if it's smiling in the face of your brother. Your time, your energy, your education, your strength, whatever you give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will reward you for it. Allah says, لَن تَنَالُوا الْبِرَّ حَتَّى تُنْفِقُوا مَا تُحِبُّونَ. You will not reach piety and high ranks with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala until you give that which you love. And what do we love the most in this world? Number one, ourselves. And number two, our wealth. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bought from us our lives and our wealth to give us paradise. إِنَّ اللَّهَ اشْتَرَى مِنَ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَنفُسَهُمْ وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Allah said, give me your life, I want your life. There's nothing, nobody will reward you. And any other businessman comes to you, they can't offer paradise. Nobody else can give you paradise, can give you Jannah, eternal bliss, everything at your fingertips. You would give them, you enslave yourself to today. Tamam? Allah said, I can do that. Obey me and do that which is good for you in this world, and I will give you good in this world, and I will give you greatness in the hereafter. وَصَدَّقَ فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. As for the one that gives and then has taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What does taqwa mean? That you do this out of sincerity and love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because sometimes we give, but we don't intend Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sometimes we give to please or get something in store. Allah wants, whatever you do, I want you to be khalis for me. I want you to do it just for me. And it's going to go very ugly. And it's not going to be beautiful. If you do a righteous deed, and you seek to please other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Prophet ﷺ told us in a great hadith, إِنَّ أَوَّلَ مَنْ تُسَعَّرُ بِهِمُ النَّارُ ثَلَاثَةً. The people that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will lit the hellfire with on the Day of Judgment are three types of categories. He said among them, the three types are somebody that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him knowledge of this religion. And they learned it. And they became learned. And they taught the people the religion. and people learn from them and benefit from them. And they die. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala resurrected them on the Day of Judgment and said, فَعَرَّفَهُ نِعَمَهُ فَعَرَفَهَا. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told them all the blessings that He did for them. Didn't I teach you the deen? Didn't I teach you the Quran? And you learned it. They said, and they will acknowledge it. فَعَرَفَهَا. They will acknowledge it, say, oh Allah, it's true. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say to them, what did you do with the knowledge that I granted you? And this person will say, oh Allah, I learned it for your sake, and I taught it for your sake. I taught everybody your religion. Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not deny that they learned the religion. And He will not deny that they taught the religion. But He will deny for your sake. Allah will say, no. Rather, you did it. You learned it and you taught it. لِيُقَالَ إِنَّهُ عَالِمٌ. So the people can say, what a great scholar. What a great speaker. What a very learned person. وَقَدْ قِيلَ. And whatever you sought of praise has been done for you. The people in the world life, when you were alive, they praised you and they went after you and they sought after you and they invited you. You got what you wanted in the worldly life. I made sure of that. And today, you have nothing next to you. Everything you did of righteousness, you did it to gain in this world. And you got it, take it to hellfire. And they will be dragged off to hellfire. And they will be among the first person, human being, to be put in the hellfire. The Prophet ﷺ, you know when you're like turning on the fire, you add a little bit of gas to it to make it even more burnt? It's like that. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call another person. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala granted a tremendous amount of wealth in this world. Then this person was rich. They had much money in this world. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will tell them, didn't I make you very wealthy in the worldly life? And they will say, yes, O Allah. فَعَرَّفَهُ نِعَمَهُ فَعَرَفَهَا. They will acknowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made him very wealthy in this worldly life. And Allah will say, فِيمَا عَمِلْتَ. What did you do with the wealth that I gave you? And the person will say, oh Allah, and look at this statement. Oh Allah, I did not find a means to spend my money to please you, except that I spent my money in that means. Whatever I found that was pleasing to you, building an orphan, building a madrasa, building a masjid, given to the orphans, do whatever, any sadaqah, any time that I was called to give for your sake, I gave it. Never have I walked away from a situation where I was told to give for the sake of Allah that I did not give. And I did all of that for your sake. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, كَذَبْتَ. You have lied. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not call him a liar because they spent their money in every means that was pleasing to Allah. Allah did not say, you did not give this money. You withheld the money. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, it was not done for me. وَإِنَّمَا فَعَلْتَ لِيُقَالَ إِنَّهُ جَوَّادٌ. You only gave and did this and spent your money in these means so that people can say, what a tremendously generous person. This person is so generous that $1 and $1 million is the same to him. He gives without thinking over it. He does not even care when he's given. And the people have said that about him. They praised you. And they sought after you. And they put your name on every social media and everything. And they followed you and they loved you. So you got what you wanted in the worldly life. Take him to hellfire. And he will be taken to hellfire. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will call up a third person. And this person was a person who went and fought in battle to protect the weak and Muslims and the Muslim lands, and died in battle as a shaheed, as a martyr. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will bring this person and say, I gave you strength and power in the worldly life. What did you do with it? And he said, oh Allah, I fought your way until I died. I slayed my life in front of you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will say, and he said, I did that for your sake. Allah will say, you're a liar, you're lying, you only did it so لِيُقَالَ إِنَّهُ شُجَاعٌ. So it can be said that he is a brave man. If army of 1,000 strong is coming at him, he will not flinch. And the people did, and they praised you. You did not do it for my sake. And I will say, take him to hellfire, and it will be taken to hellfire. So these are the highest levels of good deeds that we can ever seek. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I want you to do these good deeds, but know who you're doing it for. فَأَمَّا مَنْ أَعْطَى وَاتَّقَى. Then why would I do it if I don't want praise in this world? And go out of my way and do all this work and do all these things? وَصَدَّقَ بِالْحُسْنَى. Because this person knows that the ultimate prize and the ultimate pleasure is for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be pleased with you and to grant you paradise. A place where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has prepared it for no other reason except to please those that were obedient to Him in this world and followed His path. And on the other side, Allah said the other group of people are وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى. And the one that becomes greedy with his life, with his time, with his effort, and doesn't give in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is not obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, thinks that going to the masjid and praying to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is too much, is overdoing it. I don't have time to learn the Quran. I don't have time to learn the deen. I don't have time to learn Arabic. I don't have time. Sum it up for me, 5 seconds. But I can go on my social media and I'll be on there for hours. I can hang out with my friends and I'll spend days. I can watch a movie for 2 hours straight. But if I open up the Quran, the click starts. I start hearing the clock. I can't breathe anymore. It's too much. It's greedy with it, right? And feels that he's self-sufficient. I don't need deen, I don't need religion. I got myself, I can do this myself. And what do people become istighna? إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَيَطْغَى أَنْ رَآهُ اسْتَغْنَى. The human being becomes transgresses when they see themselves as self-sufficient. You know, when you have the job and you have security and everything is going right, you remember Allah. But when all problems break loose and you don't know what's going on and something wrong happens to you, today you were going outside your house and you were walking and the cops got you and they said you fit the description and you can't get them off your back, you get a lawyer, nothing's going right, your family tries, everybody gives up and you're thrown into that jail. For no reason, you're being transgressed against, then you remember Allah. You say, Ya Allah, oh Allah, I have nobody except you. Oh Allah, all means has failed. Oh Allah, help me. But when everything is going right now, you're safe, you have wealth, you have a roof over your head, you know the next meal in the fridge that you're going to eat. Nah, deen is far. وَأَمَّا مَنْ بَخِلَ وَاسْتَغْنَى وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى. And some people, because they want to follow their desires so much, and they don't want a deen over them that tells them that what you're doing is wrong, they go so far as to say, who knows if the religion is true? How do I know? And this is not a question of aqli and looking over and trying to learn, but it's to get that guilt off of them and to justify the wrongs they're doing. So they're like, maybe, yeah. Well, how do you know? You understand? Just to excuse, and that conscience that's talking to them, they can shut it off, turn it off altogether. We have some Somali people that live in America today that are atheists, that left their religion. All of this was, they didn't want to feel bad because they're doing something wrong. A person could be a believer. Whatever wrong you did, you acknowledge. You say, whatever I'm doing is haram. I know that. But I have no doubt in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet and His religion and the Quran. That person is a mu'min that does mistakes. If he dies, Allah will forgive him, or Allah will punish him, but sooner or later they will go into paradise. But if a person doubts Allah, His religion, His Quran, they're a disbeliever, and they will be eternally in hellfire. Doing sins, Sahaba did sins. They made mistakes. They repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But to doubt the whole religion, وَكَذَّبَ بِالْحُسْنَى, they said there is no sins in paradise. And the two groups, Allah said about the first type, فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْيُسْرَى. For the one that seeks Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah said, we will make them easy for the Jannah. Allah did not say we'll make Jannah easy for them. Allah said, I will make them easy for paradise. فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ. What does that mean? Allah will make Salah beloved to you. Allah will make the Quran beloved to you. Allah will make your parents beloved to you. He will make any means that will get you into paradise a piece of cake for you. Everybody else is having a hard time. Your friends will ask, how do you manage to pray 5 times a day? For you, it's easy. Why? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala looked at your heart and He saw how sincere you are, so Allah made it easy for you. It's all about the hearts. And another person, when Allah saw how much they want to run away from Allah, how much they don't want the hereafter, how much they want the worldly life, they're clinging onto the worldly life, Allah said, فَسَنُيَسِّرُهُ لِلْعُسْرَى. We will make easy for them the means to enter hellfire. They will become a great singer. They will have a lot of followers on social media. Everybody will praise them for the sins that they do, and they get so much followers, and they don't want the haram police on their back, and they will justify whatever they did. And now, if you tell them whatever you tell them, صُمٌّ بُكْمٌ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يُبْصِرُونَ. Their ears are deaf, their eyes are blind. You get a grown Somali person, forget about young youth. Well, they're Somali, and he can't stop drinking khamr. He can't stop doing job. He won't raise his family. Why? This person he turned away from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so they forget. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَأَنْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُمْ. Oh, you who believe, don't be like the ones that forgot about Allah, so Allah made them forget about themselves. And when you go out of your way to disobey Allah, what happens? You wreck yourself in this world. How many famous people, musicians, movie stars, famous athletes do we know that end up doing drugs, that do commit suicide, that lose every fame they have? They go from superstar to 0 star. In this world, what happened? When you don't have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything's going to go wrong. And if you have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even though you have nothing, you will gain everything in this world and the hereafter. Allah did not tell us that, hey, if you're a believer, be a monk and be in the masjid and do nothing. No. رَبَّنَا آتِنَا فِي الدُّنْيَا حَسَنًا وَفِي الْآخِرَةِ حَسَنًا وَقِنَا عَذَابَ النَّارِ. Allah taught us to say, oh Allah, give us goodness in this world and give us goodness in the hereafter. Somebody named Guled here? Come talk. MashaAllah. Allah wants you to get goodness in this world and goodness in the hereafter. Remember the story of Rabi'ah? He was poor, he was in the masjid. Allah gave him a wife and a house and land. And hereafter he's going to be a Rafiq of Rasulullah in Jannah. So, those are the 2 types. Those are the 2 paths. Which one do you aspire for? Take the hereafter. And make the hereafter your priority, and Allah will give you both. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, مَنْ كَانَ يُرِيدُ الْعَاجِلَةَ عَجَّلْنَا لَهُ فِيهَا مَا نَشَاءُ لِمَنْ نُرِيدُ. These are both ayats we learned in Surah Ash-Shams. Whoever wants the hastening one, the worldly life, what happens? You know what this means? Let's say somebody says, I don't want Allah, I don't want Jannah, I don't want the hereafter, I only want this world. Do you know the only sad reality, the worst case scenario that can happen to this person? Is خَسَرَ الدُّنْيَا وَالْآخِرَةِ. That they become the homeless person that stands on the side of the highway, that is not Muslim, begging, that doesn't have anything in this world, and if they die as a disbeliever, have hellfire waiting for them in the hereafter. What happens? Allah said, what happens when you turn away from me and say, no matter what, I'm going to get rich or die trying. I want this worldly life, halal or haram. Allah says, عَجَّلْنَا لَهُ فِيهَا مَا نَشَاءُ لِمَنْ نُرِيدُ. We give however much wealth we want to whomever we want among them. 5 people want this worldly life only. 2 of them get rich, 3 of them, they stay poor in this world, and they go to Nar in the hereafter. Is that khasar? Are you guaranteed? Is any of us able to guarantee and say, I'm going to go against the religion and I'm going to get rich. I'm going to become famous. I'm going to do that. Nothing is guaranteed. But the only thing that's guaranteed is obey Allah, be obedient to Allah, you will get good in this world and the hereafter. فِيهَا مَا نَشَاءُ لِمَنْ نُرِيدُ ثُمَّ جَعَلْنَا لَهُ جَهَنَّمَ يَصْلَاهَا مَذْمُومًا مَدْحُورًا. Whoever turns away from Allah and prefers this worldly life, we will give however much we want of it to whomever we want among them, and then we will make them go into hellfire, disgraced to abide in there. Subhanallah. And on the other side, on the next ayah, Allah says, وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةِ. And as for the one that wants the hereafter, that makes the hereafter his goal, his priority, her priority, everything starts from Allah and His Prophet. Are they pleased with it? I'm going to get married. Is Allah and His Prophet pleased with this person? I'm going to live here. Will I be able to worship Allah here? Am I close to the masjid? How can I learn my religion? Everything starts off with Allah and His Prophet, then everything else comes. وَمَنْ أَرَادَ الْآخِرَةِ. The one that wants the hereafter, by all means and way. وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا. And then does not sit down and wait around for Allah to put them in paradise, but rather, what did the Prophet ﷺ say to Rabi'ah when he said, I want to be a rafiq in Jannah? أَعِنِّي عَلَى نَفْسِكَ بِكَثْرَةِ السُّجُودِ. Help you by doing a lot of sujood and praying a lot. So you need to work for it. You need to do something. The fact that you want hereafter, show the reality and work for it. وَسَعَى لَهَا سَعْيَهَا وَهُوَ مُؤْمِنٌ. And he's a believer. He's doing it for the sake of Allah. He's not like the guy who gave to be praised. The guy who did battle to be praised. The guy who learned and taught the people so he could be praised. No, he's doing it mu'min. La ilaha illallah. Ikhlas. Sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. Those are the ones that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself will thank them for what they did. And if Allah wants to thank you, and He's the Malik al-Muluk, Rabbul Alameen, any wish that you want will be at your fingertips. فَأُولَٰئِكَ كَانَ سَعْيُهُمْ مَشْكُورًا. So, fix other time. I will wrap up with one hadith. The Prophet ﷺ said, مَنْ جَعَلَ الْهَمَّ هَمًّا وَاحِدًا. Whoever makes his goal, his desire, his ambition, one ultimate ambition. هم الميعاد. The ambition of being pleased by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And his hereafter, كَفَاهُ اللَّهُ هَمَّ دُنْيَاهُ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala suffices him and helps him attain his worldly needs. Allah gives it to him. How many people cannot write their name? I know people that when they want to sign, they're so rich, they can't sign the paper, they have to stamp. They don't know how to write their name. And they're millionaires, billionaires. وَمَنْ تَشَعَّبَتْ بِهِمُ الْهُمُومِ. And whoever has too many desires and it deludes him from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala لَمْ يُبَالِ اللَّهُ فِي أَيِّ أَوْدِيَةِ الدُّنْيَا حَلَكَ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not care in which one of the dungeons and holes of the worldly life this person is destroyed in. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let you go ahead and see what you get from this world. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make our ultimate aspiration the hereafter, and make our Jannah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Prophet the most beloved thing to our hearts, inshallah. And we'll wrap up right there.